Guys, you are not going to believe this. It is shocking. If you've read the title, you will know. And I just want to put it out there, if for any reason in this video I laugh, it's because, honestly, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. Because I am that, just shocked and absolutely, I can't say speechless because I have a lot to say about it. But I can't believe it. So, let's get right into it. So, welcome back to another video. Unfortunately, it's not the best of circumstances, and as much as I would love to just brush over it and not even talk about it, I feel like one, it's a very important topic to talk about, and two, I kind of tell you guys everything, so I feel like it's something that needs to be spoken about, and three, I kind of want to warn people because it's if you were to do what this person has done to anyone else, you don't know what their reaction would be, and being sued is a very serious thing, so you just need to be careful, and it's just not worth it. So in regards to that, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or you haven't had a look on my Instagram, I'm going to start from the beginning, but just to give you a little rundown, someone has been, we're going to call them person A today, because I don't plan to name any names, but basically A has been using my photos, my product listings, and also basically selling my products, which aren't mine. So if people aren't in a business industry where you own your own business, this might just seem like relatively just not that important to you. However, when someone is buying your products, so say buying a product from me, then taking photos of said product and selling it on their website for more, it makes it look like, or it basically gives me the impression that they are reselling my items, which is a whole nother board game, basically. So that's another thing, especially when you're dealing with food. It's very important not to do that, but we'll get onto that in the next bit. But yeah, basically they've just been kind of reincarnating me. It's kind of scary, if I'm honest. When I found out about it, which was literally only last night, I was raging. I was going to make this YouTube video then, and then I decided that I would sleep on it so that I can actually explain it in the best way to everyone that is curious. But we're going to start from the beginning because I feel like it's the easiest way for you to understand, and you're going to see how kind of weird it gets, because again, it doesn't sound necessarily that bad. It happens every day. There's plenty of people that do it. But when it is done to this degree, it gets kind of scary. So let's get right into it. So basically, for the past many months, literally since June, I would say, I've been messaging person A, or they've been messaging me, and they would just, obviously I have a platform on YouTube, so I get asked questions all the time, so I don't think anything of it. So I get asked questions. She's asking about basic things, regarding the business, and again, I share all this stuff on YouTube, so I don't mind talking about it. But then she says, oh, I want to place an order for something, and it needs to be an allergen-friendly item, basically. So I say to person A, yes, I can do this on request. I don't typically advertise it on the site. And number one, I'm going out of my way to do a special request for this person. So there's lots of times, lots of occasions where they are asking how much for this, how much for that. And you've got to think of it from my point of view. No, you've got to think of it from your point of view. So say you are a normal customer and you're asking me how much something is, that is fairly normal. So I would have to answer you, otherwise I am rude. That I would consider that rude as a business owner if you just ignore people that are asking how much something is. So I would then tell person A how much it is, and that's that. And a lot of the time these orders never actually progressed into orders. And then the last month I said, unfortunately, I can't discuss any more orders with you because there's one too many. We were talking about 6 different cakes, which were supposedly going to be for 6 different occasions. Bearing in mind this person lives quite far away, so it was quite high delivery cost, almost as much as the cost of the cake. So I was thinking, this is time wasting, it's not actually going to go anywhere. And then they actually purchased a cake, which honestly it was the most surprising thing. I didn't actually think it was going to happen. So they purchased a cake, which made me think, okay, they're not time wasting. So again, from their perspective, they have now paid me for something. They have purchased an item from me. So if I am rude or don't respond to them, that would be very unprofessional on my part. So again, any messages that they sent, I had to kind of respond to them, even if they were very informative about business, because it's very awkward. They've paid me, so I don't want to give them a bad impression of me by ignoring certain questions because they were too informative about business and I didn't necessarily want to share that information. So it got awkward there because they had then paid me. So it was no longer, they hadn't placed an order so I could just ignore it, or like if it got too like informative or like not personal, because it's not personal about me, but like personal about the business. So this messaging goes on and on and on, and there's other people mentioned, which we will get into a bit further because I'm not sure they actually exist. But there's like, oh, this person loves your brownies that I purchased from you. This person loves them. Can I place an order on behalf of this person? The order wasn't actually placed in the end. And it was constantly like other people that were involved. And I said, well, you can get them to contact me if you want, and that never materialised. So there was always this like back and forth. It seemed like there was always getting information from me, not necessarily giving me anything. So fast forward to last night, I am non-suspecting. Like, I just thought, it's just a very chatty person, bearing in mind this person messages me on a weekly basis. So this is not just a random person that is using my photos behind my back. This is someone that talks to me a lot, like a lot. So imagine it like you're friends with someone. I wouldn't necessarily call this person a friend, but say you're a friend with someone, you talk to them on a regular basis. It was a friendly customer to seller relationship. So it's not like I didn't know who they were. So then last night, obviously, because this person is far away, it was like a 3-hour round trip. They paid the delivery cost. It was done by mileage, so I wasn't worried about that. But my mum said, do you know who this person is? And I thought to myself, why? I'm just delivering a cake. Like, what's the problem? And then she kind of said, well, maybe you should check because, like, obviously you're on YouTube now. Like, you have a bigger following on there than you initially had when you started baking, so you need to be careful who you're going to see. And I was like, that's a really good point. Like, I don't know who this person is. There's no photos of them on their page, anything like that. So I was like, oh, okay. So then I went on their website, and this is where it got interesting. And I'm smiling because I honestly can't believe I can't believe someone would do it in the first place. But to talk to me on a weekly basis, lie to me about people placing orders, and meanwhile, that cake that you asked me how much I would charge for it, you've then put it on your website and you've listed it for that price that I told you. And one of these cakes was my cake. There were brownies that were mine. There were blondie trays, brownie trays. I was just gobsmacked. There was a wedding cake on there. Like, what? I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Yeah, I'm going round in circles in my head because I don't understand. And if anyone knows me personally, which you guys won't, I really struggle to, 1, not show that I'm peed off, 2, not say something to someone if I'm annoyed with them. So delivering this cake this morning was a struggle. It was a struggle. But yeah, so we get onto the website, and like I say, this is where it gets weird. So, as most of you know, I sell spreadsheet templates, I sell website templates. Obviously, I know what I'm selling. I can go and look at that template right now and see what's in it. So I know what this website started off like and what it looks like now. So I know what it looked like when I sold it to this person because they have purchased a template, and I know what it looks like now. So I can look at listings on this website and I can see what or how much information has been copy and pasted from my current website, and how much was in the original template. And I obviously know that I'm selling template. That is perfectly fine. That's not what I have a problem with. Initially, and again, this is where I am so glad that I looked through this website because it was shocking. On the first page, I saw a photo of my chocolate slabs that I sell. And initially I was like, that's obviously mine. I have a photo of it. I can prove that it was sent to said person. So I have their address, so I can tell where it's been sent. I know that that is my product and that they have then listed it on their website. So I saw that and I was like, oh, that's really weird. Like, that's rubbed me up the wrong way. And I thought, okay, maybe they just don't have any photos for themselves. And I kind of just went off the website. And then I mentioned it, I think, to my mum, and she was like, oh my God, like, that's really out of order. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go back on there and have another look, because this website is laid out the same as mine because it is a template. So most of the things I've changed on mine. However, things like the tabs of the website, they remain the same. So there is home, cakes and postals, gallery, then there is contact and reviews. So again, I know what's been added, and I know what hasn't been added. So I go to the cakes and postals page because obviously I've looked on the home page, I've seen what's on there, and I only saw one photo of mine, and I thought, okay, there's only one. You know, you can get that taken down very easily. Just ask them to take it down. That's it. Then I went on to the gallery. I saw some cakes that I'm not going to judge someone's skill set because obviously everyone is different, and I wouldn't want to discredit anyone that is at the same level as this person. Obviously everyone starts somewhere, but what I'm trying to put across is that my wedding cake that was on that page, if I was a customer, I would know that that cake is not the same standard as the other cakes that are in the photographs. So I would be able to tell that either they've got very good very quickly, and there's one very good photo, and then one that looks more like, I don't know, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I mean. So you can see that there's a difference. And one, I don't know how they didn't notice this themselves, because people are going to be able to tell that there's a difference between the products and the skill set. And two, how you can sell something like that because a customer is obviously not going to get that product. Anyway, I go onto the gallery. There is my wedding cakes, there is my postal trays, there is my brownie boxes. Bearing in mind, I looked back through messages and I saw that they asked me how much this brownie box was because it wasn't on my website, but it was a photo that I had uploaded onto my Instagram. It was a personalised box that I sent to a YouTuber, so I remember it very well. And it was a personalised box, so it's not something that's on my website because I sent it to this YouTuber for a video, and I know that it's not something that I typically list. There is a smaller version of the box, but not this particular one. So they asked me how much that was, and I told them how much it was. I said it's not on the website because, again, that could have been an order. So I literally said, I was like, this is how much it is. If you want to place an order, it's not on my website, or there's a smaller version, but let me know. And then it was, okay, I'll let you know. Then nothing. And that turns out to be one of the products that was listed on the website. And it was my photo of my brownies, the exact price that I told this person. So that's basically what it was. All these times where they sent cakes, where they sent brownies, there was times where they asked me about merchandise and they said, what's your lead time? That is obviously so they can add it to their own website. They asked me how it's posted. And again, these weren't like blatant questions where it's obvious. It was done in a very sneaky way and a very cheeky way, which is why it's annoying. Because it wasn't as if someone who really wanted to know, they were asking a blatant question. They were asking, like, if I ordered, when will it come? And then I said, oh, it's sent tracked 48, so it comes within 2 days. So then obviously that way they found out my postal method straight away. So then they were obviously taking notes of that and putting it all on the website. So that gallery had all those products on it. So I saw that gallery and I was like, right, these are my products. When I saw the wedding cake, that's what really bent me out of shape, because someone takes a chocolate slab, it's a chocolate slab. But if someone takes a wedding cake, that is 12 hours work put into that, at least. And then all the planning, and obviously it's my cake, so there's that as well. But it's mainly the hours that went into that. And it's my cake. It's mine. I made it. It's mine. You can't recreate it because you didn't make it. You can recreate something and it either looks alike, or maybe you do a near enough job, but you will not be able to recreate something exactly because it is not yours. If someone asks me to recreate a cake and I know who it's from, I credit the person. If someone asks me to recreate a cake and I don't know who it's from, then I won't necessarily credit, but I do change the design deliberately so that it is my own and I'm not exactly copying someone's design. But this is completely different because it's not their cake. It was a photo of my cake. So that's what really upset me when there was cakes on there, because that is a lot of time. So then I go to the product page. So there's a shop all page on my page. This is a standard thing, so I know this is on the template. And I went to this and I looked through, and there was chocolate slabs, there was brownie trays, both of which are mine. And when I say mine, I mean these are items that they purchased from me through my website, and then they have taken photos, or they've used my photos and put them on their website. And I'd just like to confirm, just because you buy something, it doesn't make it yours. So that product belongs to me. You purchased it, so yes, you can take a photo and put it on your personal Instagram and say, look, I bought this from Sweet Things by Amy, but it is no way yours to then resell. It does not belong to you. And also those photos, those products, they're all copyrighted, they are all mine. They belong to me. And when I take that photo, that is mine. It's not yours. Just because you buy something, it doesn't make it yours. So they purchased these items and put them on their website, and where it got weird is they were more expensive than my website. And bearing in mind, chocolate slabs are like £8 to £8.50. If you're selling a chocolate slab for £12, no one will buy it. I guarantee you, no one will buy it. The only reason you would put that on a website for that much using my photos is if you're reselling mine. And this is the impression that I got. And I got that from the whole website. Yeah. And I do suspect that potentially they may have actually gone as far to, not particularly with this cake, but maybe get me to make cakes in the future and resell them. And it would make zero profit, because obviously you're paying me to make something and then you're making very little on top of that. But I think it was more of a status thing, if I'm completely honest. I think they wanted the recognition from someone saying, wow, that's a lovely product, and they know that it's not theirs. Which I don't understand at all, because I get recognition from someone saying my cake's lovely. It's mine. It's no one else's. If I bought a cake from the shop and resold it and claimed it as mine, I would not get the satisfaction from that cake and that order. I just absolutely don't understand it. So those were on there. And it was also, when I say it was done in a sneaky way, I mean the way that they tried to hide it. So there were certain listings where the front photo of the listing was a normal photo, maybe of their work, and it said like mixed treat box, and I thought, oh okay, they've got one thing of their own on the website, maybe. And then I clicked on it and there was only one option, and it was brownie, and then I swiped across to the photos and it was mine. And again, it's more expensive than mine, so I do worry that they were potentially reselling mine on, even if, I mean, I doubt they'd be able to resell a brownie on, because obviously it goes off. But even if they were giving it or selling it to someone local, it's just risky because there's allergens involved. I want to reiterate this to you guys. Like, that is dangerous. Like, this was a dairy-free tray. If you give that to someone that has dairy, they're going to have an allergic reaction. Like, or that isn't allowed dairy and there's any, like, traces in it. Like, say you got mixed up and you gave someone a dairy one instead of the dairy-free. Like, the risk of those allergens. And also, if they did have an allergic reaction and then it was reported, it would have my details on it, so then I would find out that you've resold it. So you'd get sued for reselling a product when I'm not a supplier, I am a seller. I don't supply to other people to sell. And 2, they would sue you for passing on someone else's product when you haven't made it. So there's just so many things wrong with it, so many. The next thing, which you guys will know how much of a baby this business is to me. Like, literally, I love it. I'm trying to expand it, and I say this all the time, I don't want to be a baking business. I don't want to be referred to as a baking business. I want to be a brand. I want people to say, have you heard about Sweet Things by Amy? And it's known as a brand. It's known as classes, teaching baking classes, merchandise, products, cakes, postals, tutorials, all these things. I want to be known as a whole thing. I don't want to be known as just a baking business. So this is very, very important to me, which is why I'm so riled up, because I cannot believe that people or person that is actually supposedly a fan of my work would not understand how important this is to me and then deliberately go behind my back and try and take it from me. Anyway, so the worst bit about it is I went on their Instagram, and again, sneakily done, the first photo is just says new arrivals, which fairly normal. And then you scroll down in the description and it says, for my birthday month, I am bringing out merchandise. So again, as a baking business, anyone out there will know that this is not a natural progression for a baker. And I know I've done it, but that's because I'm in the YouTube scene, and that is a very natural progression for someone in YouTube to make merch. It's very, very normal. However, it is not necessarily the natural progression for a baker. It's also not the natural progression for a very, very new baker / hobby baker, because it costs a lot of money. Like, you don't make that much money off of merch. Like, a lot of merch is just done for the fun of it. Like, I like the fact that I can sell merch and you guys can wear it. Like, I'm wearing it now. I like the fact that I can wear it in my YouTube videos. It's like my uniform, because I don't work for anyone, so I don't get a uniform that you get like when you work in Tesco's or something. And it's also nice for you guys to wear it, because I get some of you who say, oh, I wear mine when I'm watching the lives. It's like, it's nice to be in this little community. So that's why I make merch. But for someone who is just a hobby baker to make merchandise, especially when they don't necessarily have a following, it just seems very, very random and coincidental that I released a birthday launch in August. Their birthday is supposedly in September. I don't actually know, because there's been a lot of lies mentioned, so I don't actually know if it's in September. But they released new merchandise, sort of like announced it as a sneak peek 2 days after I released all my new merch. 2 days. Bearing in mind, because I didn't do a merch photo shoot until about a week ago, I didn't have any photos of the merch, so I had photos of the designs on the website, which means that people can steal them, basically. And I worry that that's what they did, or were either going to plan to do. So in this post, they said that they were going to make various other things, which we're not bothered about. Like, you know, like sweets, anything like that, which I'm not fussed about. I don't do it. I don't, you know, it's the same as someone doing brownies. I'm not fussed. As long as they make their own and not use mine. But the problem with this was they said that they were going to design cake postcards, which you all know I sell on my website. Again, postcards, not a natural progression for a baker. Maybe the first thing that you'd make is like an apron or something. If you're making merchandise and you don't do YouTube, you'd have baking related products. Like I see people make merchandise and they sell silicone molds like I do, or they sell lolly sticks, you know, the ones you use for cake pops, that kind of thing, because it's relating to baking. But when it is something that just doesn't relate to baking at all, that's when it gets weird. And the next thing, which this was the biggest shocker of all, my mum actually laughed out loud because she could not believe it. Bearing in mind this was one day, this was a day later, I announced the day before this post went up that I was releasing scrunchies. And apparently, said person is going to make their own scrunchies and sell them. A moment of silence for that, please, because doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. Like I say, again, not a natural progression for a baker. The reason that I make scrunchies, I like scrunchies anyway, and two, because they are cake fabrics, so they relate to cakes. However, again, I make merch for YouTube. The merch is not necessarily for my baking business, it's for YouTube. Like I say, I want to be a brand, all of that. Whereas for this person to bring out merch randomly makes no sense. And again, bearing in mind, this was shortly after they were asking me about the merch. So in messages they were saying, if I ordered a hoodie, when would it come? Would it be posted first class? And that was them fishing for information, which I didn't realise at the time. And then I said, no, it would be sent tracked 48. So that was shortly after they were fishing for that information, and that was the thing that pushed me over the edge, because I remembered that they could go onto my website and literally just steal all of my designs. And I want to reiterate, because this is why it is so shocking and like important to me, these merch designs, here's an example of one which I actually have on, to give you a bit of perspective on how much work goes into these merch designs, because some of you might just see a piece of merch and you could probably think that I stole it off Pinterest or something, but I design all of the merch myself on Procreate myself. Like, I don't steal anyone's stuff. I don't just pick a photo off of Google and put it on a t-shirt. You know, that one, they're all copyrighted, so you can't do that. And two, that's not what I'm about. The whole point is that they're based on my business. So this is an example of the merch. So it's a chocolate cake slice. Yes, we understand. This particular design, as small as it is, and as, you know, you might say, oh, it's not very detailed, whatever. This design took me, have a little guess in the comments, because if you can guess before I quickly say it, it took me 4.5 hours to draw this. 4.5. 4.5 hours that I was sat with an iPad, actually on this chair, drawing away on my iPad. Then, after that, you have to go and purchase the hoodies, which takes time. Then, I have a heat press, so I have to print off these documents. Then I have to actually print the merch myself, because I don't get someone else to do it. So, that's why it's so shocking, because this is, like, for someone that follows my YouTube and knows how much time I put into this, bearing in mind there's 6 merch designs, that is, what, 6 times 5, that's 30 hours that I put into just designing them. Then there's touch-ups that you do on merch. So as soon as I saw that, one, they had added a merchandise tab, because that doesn't come standard on the website. Again, I know this. It doesn't come standard. So they've added a merchandise tab, and it's convenient that the one person that I know they watch on YouTube, which is me, brought out merch literally 2 days before. Like, I mean, put 2 and 2 together. It's, you can either say that it's a coincidence, or you can say that it's likely, like it's like 99.9% likely. So that scared me, like, a lot. That made me very anxious. I've literally been anxious since yesterday. And then that actually kind of brings us up to speed to the end of last night. So that's basically what happened last night. That's all the stuff I found out last night from this website. And also, I'm not sure about the review section. I mean, I'm not going to assume, but I'm very savvy with Wix, and it doesn't look like the reviews are authentic. So again, I think there's fabrication of reviews on there. So there's just a lot of things going on. And then there's also on their Instagram and their Facebook, there was also photos of my products on there, and it was saying postals that have been really popular the last 2 months, and I was thinking, they're mine, like, those are my postals. So if there's any chance that they are reselling, which again I say is highly likely, because why would you list a product exactly the same as mine using my photos but for more if you weren't reselling it? It just doesn't make any sense. And I've seen their photos of their own brownies and their own postals, and they do not look like mine. So I can only assume that that's why they would do it. But the more kind of like just confusing thing, and like this is what just confused the hell out of me and kind of just shocked me really, because I could never, like, I can't lie to people, and I just don't understand how they managed to do this. But like I say, they've been talking to me for months. Meanwhile, behind my back, they've been stealing all of this stuff. And what you need to remember as well is there's a difference between stealing someone's photos and just, like I say, happens on a daily basis. People recreate people's Instagrams all the time. Happens a lot, like more than you would expect. Like my brother, literally his business, someone tried to recreate his whole website. But the difference is they usually just fizzle out. They don't make any money, blah, blah, blah. Or he's had ones where they just recreate his Instagram, and it's like, well, they're not making any money off of that. They're doing it for status because they want to be you, which I kind of worry that this person maybe wanted as well. They just kind of like wanted to be me. I don't really know. But the more weird thing about this was they could make money off of this. That's the difference that you kind of have to understand. Like there's taking someone's photos just for status, for likes on Instagram, that kind of thing. But when you actually create a website where people pay, bearing in mind there are wedding cakes on here. Like wedding cakes on this particular site and on my site as well are listed at £200 plus. If anyone purchased that cake, that is a lot of money. And 1, it might not turn up. 2, it might not turn up how they want it. Or 3, they might order it from me and get me to deliver it. So that's what you need to think about. And you also need to think about it for your own businesses, because that's kind of like what worries me, was how easy it was for this person to do this whilst talking to me on a daily basis. So what you have to be careful with is not necessarily the people that you don't talk to, it's the people that you talk to. Like, that's why it scared me so much, because I was like, usually people that do this don't have the nerve to talk to you. They don't have the nerve to meet you in person. I literally walked up to their door and delivered a cake. Like, no shame at all. Like, just doesn't make sense. Absolutely baffling. But usually people don't have the nerve to actually communicate with you. But this person, I mean, I still don't know whether they had any orders off the website, because I don't know if these reviews are real or whether they've actually had any orders. It doesn't look like they have, but if they have, that is money that they're making off of my products. Like, that's the way you got to think of it. It's not just a case of someone nicking some photos and it's harmless and that's it. They're just a fan of my YouTube and they want to nick some photos. Like, this person was actually planning to make money off of this stuff. And like, especially with this whole merchandise thing, they always ask me about actually ordering merchandise, and they kept saying that they were going to order, and I worry that they would have ordered and just resold my merch. Like, yeah. So that brings us up to speed. Then there is today. So basically I wake up and I am like riddled with anxiety. I get anxiety occasionally, like, I'll admit that, but this was bad. And I knew I don't like confrontation. And like I say, when I'm annoyed, someone usually knows about it, and I think this person probably did. But I drive, and this is again the shocking part. So I don't usually drive far for cakes. So I usually get people to collect. I don't usually do delivery, which is why I charge so much for the delivery of this cake, because one, it's a pain, and two, it's based on a mileage rate. So that's the cost, basically. You could get someone nearer to make it, or you can make it yourself if you are a baker, which supposedly this person is. But they really wanted one of my cakes. That was the argument. So I was like, okay, I will, on this occasion, deliver. It was 50 miles away. So it was an hour and 40 minutes this morning, and then an hour and 40 minutes back. So bearing in mind you've made me drive all this way, meanwhile you're stealing all of my, basically my life's work. So I drive all this way and I pull up, bearing in mind I know what's been going on. So actually, rewind a little bit. So last night when I found out all this stuff, just popping back a bit, last night when I found out all this stuff, I know how Wix works. Wix tells you when someone is on your website. It tells you if they've logged into your site before, it will give you a name. So I can see this person's name every time they look on my website. And I thought it was weird for months that they would be on my website multiple times. Little did I know they were copying it. Anyway, they can see when I'm on their website. And I know that. And I like that, because then I know that they're gonna know that I'm on their website. Which obviously when I found out that all my stuff was all over it, I screenshotted it all, I photographed it all, my sister took screenshots of what she found as well. So we had proof, because I suspected that it would be taken down very soon. Then within a couple of minutes, it's all changed, and some stuff's still on there, some stuff wasn't. And then I would look on another page, because again, Wix tells you what tab people are on, and then that would change. And I was thinking, they know. Like, they know that I know. Because if this person doesn't have many orders, it would be very unusual to have someone from my area on their website. Because it's it's not like someone from London's on your website. It's quite a specific place. And they would know that I live here, this town. So it would be very unlikely that someone randomly would come on from this area. It would just be coincidence. So they obviously suspected that it was me. They changed all the photos. And then this morning they were still off there. So obviously we went to deliver the cake and we're back up to speed. So we deliver this cake. I'm obviously very, very annoyed at this point. I literally could not relax the whole drive. Bearing in mind it's an hour and 40 minutes. We were just basically chatting about the situation because I was so gobsmacked. I could not stop thinking about it. So me and my sister went, because again, even more so now, I was going to go on my own, because I said to my mum, I was like, oh no, it was her that paid me. It wasn't, you know, some random bank account. Because again, my mum was like, do you know who you're even delivering to? Is it safe? Because you don't know who you're delivering to, especially when it's an hour and a half away, it could be dangerous. So even with other bakers, I'd recommend that you know, scope out things and you know where you're actually going and it's safe. Anyway, I had established that the payment had come from her account, or person A, sorry, had come from A's account. So I thought, okay, I haven't had some random person pay me under a different name. It's their name, so at least I know it's going to be them when I turn up. But I was still, obviously after I found all this information, I was like, right, it kind of seems like they're trying to just impersonate me. And I know that they're a big fan of me on YouTube. So I was like, I'm kind of worried about going. So I brought my sister with me and we got there. It was a little bit difficult to find the house. And literally as soon as I got there, before I even got out the car, they opened the door. And I was like, I was literally going to put the cake on the floor and then leave, because I was obviously very riled up. I was very annoyed. And I didn't even want to do the cake in the end. I was like, I'm making you a birthday cake and you've literally done this to me. As much as you've paid me, I still don't want to do it. And I was like, I've still wasted my time driving here. Again, even though you've paid me to drive here, it's just disrespectful. And I was like, maybe I just cancel. Like last night I was literally like, maybe I should just tell her that I can't do it. But then I was like, you know what? I'd have to refund her. And why would I do that? I was like, I've already made the cake, so I'm just going to take her money. And then we got to where we are now. But So that was already a bit awkward because they opened the door before I even got there, and they were very chirpy, like, hi, how are you? And I was like, are you not embarrassed at all? Like, you're literally talking to me like normal, and it's not normal. You should be worried. You should be embarrassed. Like, you should be shameful. Like, you should not be acting like it's all normal. Like, that's just not how it should work. So I was already just like gobsmacked by their reaction when I opened the door, because I was like, you don't look remorseful at all. Like, you don't have to say sorry, because obviously you don't know that I know, nothing's been said, but I wouldn't have been like that. It was very like overly chirpy, and I was just kind of shocked. I was a bit starstruck, and then I literally just passed them the cake and said all the information on the back and left as soon as I could, because I was just so annoyed. And then I got home, and this is where, again, it's just shocking. I got home, and they're starting to put stuff back on the website. So after you've just had to look me in the eye, not say anything to me, and I didn't say anything to you, I was professional, I was not happy at all, I was not chirpy myself. However, I was professional. I didn't say anything out of line. I didn't bring up the situation at all, because I did not want to do that, because I am providing a service. I didn't want it to be, you know, they delivered a cake and then shouted at me at the same time. So I thought, I'll deliver the cake and then I'll deal with it separately, which is what I've done. So yeah, we get home and my sister says, oh, some stuff's popped back up on there. So I screenshot it all again, and then within minutes, it's off again. And it's like, this isn't a cat and mouse game. Like, we're not going to do this forever. I'm not just going to go on your website and every 5 minutes you can just take stuff off and add it back on. One, how much time do you have? Like, I'm sorry this is blunt and kind of rude, but I was just annoyed. I was like, how much time do you have to be, every time I come on your website, you're going to take the photos off and then you're going to put them back on? It's like, do you think I'm a fool? What do you think of me? Because, like, I would just never dare do that. And if someone had come on my website, I would take them off and never put them on again, ever. I would not be putting them on every time they are off the website and then taking them back off. Like, the nerve of it, I just don't understand it. So this went back and forth, and this riled me up even more, because I was going to wait until later. Like, it's later now. I was going to wait until later because obviously I just delivered a birthday cake. So I was like, maybe I should give them benefit of the doubt. I didn't want to just message them straight away after I delivered a birthday cake to them for their supposed birthday. So I was like, oh, I'm going to wait. And then things just escalated more and more, and there was more stuff going back on the website. And I thought, you know what? I'm not having this. I'm not going to be taken for a fool. So I wrote out my very, very long message, which I kind of want to read to you. I might read to you just because I don't care at this point. I want to make it known that this is not okay, whether you do it to me or anyone else, because it's not okay. That is someone's work. So I will probably read it out. It hasn't got any personal information anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I sent this very long message, and before I did that, I made sure to delete all of the information that I'd sent. I would like to remind people, because if anything like this ever happens to you, or even if it's a different situation, on Instagram you can delete messages. You can't delete the other person's message, their response, but you can delete your own. So say you provide someone with any information on any situation really, you can go back and delete it. So what I did is I went back onto Instagram and I deleted every message that I'd ever sent. This is because I had spent hours and hours, and I mean, this is again where the disrespect comes in. I spent hours of my personal time, and again, bakers will know, you spend hours discussing cakes with people because they're ordering a cake. You can't say no, you can't say sorry, you're taking up too much of my time. That is your courtesy, that is your job. You spend hours on admin, that is part of the job. However, when I spend hours and no cake orders materialise apart from one, and you turn out to just be stealing all of my products, my ideas, my website, that's where it gets weird, because it's like, you've wasted hours of my time. Hours that I spent. And this person, what makes it worse is if I wouldn't reply in a few hours, they would double message. and I would feel the urgency to reply because I thought that they were a genuine person, and it probably wasn't. Someone was probably asking them to order a brownie tray, and they were thinking, I need to order it off Amy. Like, I just don't understand. But yeah, so I deleted every message that I'd ever sent because I obviously didn't want them to have any information that I'd ever sent them. And I've taken all of the photos off my website. When I say taken, you can hide stuff on your website. So I've hidden every single product. So if anyone wonders why you can't order anything, that is why. So yeah, everything is off the website. My gallery is closed because it's got all my cake photos in it. The only bit that you can look at is my reviews and my contact page. That's it. So if anyone is looking on my website, I aim to get it up by tomorrow because we'll see it's messed up my postals for this week now. If anyone would like a postal, I'd just like to put it out there, just message me and we will sort it out. But yeah, I've had to basically close the website because I cannot trust that, especially after I've sent this message, they will not go on there and just screenshot every part of my website and then upload it to their own website. So yes, I will now have to watermark every single photo that I take because clearly people can't be trusted. So that brings us up to now. What I did is I sent the message, this very long message, and then I blocked the person because quite frankly, I didn't want to hear their response because I was not interested at all. I didn't want to hear any excuses. It was at the point where it wasn't just... If it was like one photo that they had stolen, then I would have just sent them a message and I probably would have heard them out and just said, don't do it again, that's it. But the level that they had gone to, and like when they mentioned the merch, I thought, you're taking business ideas now. You're literally like trying to be my business and using all my photos, my descriptions, everything. It's just not on. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to hear this person out. And if they contact me, I will not be responding, or I will be responding with some kind of legal letter because I'm not having it. So yeah, that's where we're up to now. So like I say, I haven't heard from them, obviously, because I've blocked them on every single platform. And they'll be blocked from my website, they'll be blocked from my YouTube, literally everything. Yeah, and they're already blocked from my Instagram, so they won't see anything on there. But yeah, so that's where we're at now. It's escalated pretty quick. But like I say, one, it's a warning to anyone that would even consider doing this because it is completely out of order and it discredits anyone. It doesn't matter what business you're in, it discredits the amount of work and effort that you have put in to your business by just stealing someone's. You haven't used any time to steal someone's idea, yet I'm going to spend hours watermarking all of these photos, so I'm losing that time. And that's what people don't realise, like, you're discrediting someone's work. Like, you can't do that, unfortunately. You need to put in the work yourself and earn it. Camera died, so if people watch my videos, you'll know that happens a lot. Clearly this is a long story. But so where we're up to now is they've taken down their website. There's still posts on their Facebook and Instagram, which I'm obviously keeping an eye on. And we will continue to keep an eye on because I have other people checking as well. But that's where we're up to now. But yeah, like I was saying, I just wanted to warn mainly people that are considering to even do this, because if I was anyone else, I would be devastated like I am. So, and then it's also to warn fellow bakers, because and just any business, it doesn't matter what business you're in, but copyright and watermark your stuff. Like, it might take a little while to do, like, it's obviously a pain to have to spend the time doing it, but the day that someone tries to steal your business, especially if you care about it as much as I do, it's pretty shocking. Like, the anxiety that I felt yesterday when I thought that this person could potentially steal my merchandise and recreate it as their own, as well as my products, it just shocked me. And it was worse that it was someone that would talk to me on a regular basis. because that made me worried about the people that would do it in secret and would not talk to me, and then I may never catch them. So, like I have been saying to literally everyone, unfortunately, it gets to the point where, as much as this person may not see what is wrong with this, you have to make an example, and I've got to make an example of this person, because I don't want anyone else thinking that they can do it, whether it's to me or anyone else. So, yeah, it's not okay. It's very, very wrong. It is a horrible thing to do to anyone, and yeah, it's just not okay. But I don't understand why they thought it was okay, or why they thought it was okay to talk to me whilst they did it, because that's the most shocking part that I just can't get my head around. Is I'm looking back through messages and I'm going, oh, that's what they meant. That's what they were doing. They were finding out a price, and then they've put it on their website, because I can literally see the cake that they sent me and then the one that's on their website, and I'm like, oh, that's why they were getting a price. If someone asked me, this person, they would say, how much is a 2-tier wedding cake? It's for my cousin in a couple of years. And I'm like, oh, do you have any photos? Because I was a bit suspect that it was a bit weird. And I said, do you have any photos for inspiration? Like, do you have a date? Can I talk to a cousin? Like, anything like that. And then they would just say, oh, it doesn't matter, like, just any 2-tier. And that's because they were putting it on their website. Like, they were using, bearing in mind, you're using my pricing, which is based on, I mean, it might not seem like much to people that have been in the industry even longer than me, but I would consider my standard, to no offence, be better than some of the people that have been in there just as long. You're using someone's prices that has been in it for a year and a half, and you've been in it for a few months. Like, and you're not to my standard. So you're going to be charging someone £200 for a wedding cake, if it gets to that point, and you've never made a wedding cake. Nor do you know the procedure, nor is that your cake in that photo. It's mine. Like, that's the worst thing about it. Like, the customers lose out. One, it's a bad rep for me, because those are my products, so it's got my name on it. And two, I just feel bad for the customers that would spend their money and the product either arrives bad or it doesn't arrive at all. Like, you can't do that to people. Like, you should feel some kind of remorse to, one, steal someone's stuff, and two, do that to your customers. Like, it's just wrong. It's just wrong on so many levels. And I really hope that they do not put anything on their website like I told them to, because if the website pops up again, there will be letters sent. But yes, it is shocking. I also wanted to say, I haven't said it, I'll put it at the beginning again, but I just want to say a massive thank you to the immense amount of people that have messaged me. Honestly, I don't think I've had this many messages from fellow bakers sending this much support. It has made me feel a lot more normal about it, because if I'm completely honest, I thought I was crazy. Like, I was thinking to myself, maybe I'm being out of order. Maybe this isn't that bad. And then I was like, and then I spoke to people and they were like, no, that's really bad. Like, that's wrong. They shouldn't have done that. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm not out of order. But I've had so many messages, so many, and I will reply to all of them. But yeah, I'm just kind of shocked at this point. And that's what I've been spending the last day and a half sorting out, is that. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all the lovely messages, because it's kind of got me through it a bit, because it is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, the bit that everyone is waiting for. I had great pleasure in writing this message. So why not? Because, like I say, it does not have any names in it, so I am not threatening anyone in particular, and I am not addressing anyone in particular by reading it in this video. I'd like to just confirm that. And also, I don't plan to name any names on social medias openly, because obviously I know how dark the internet can be and the messages some people can send, so I would not want to promote anyone to send any hate to anyone. However, if anyone would like to double check that any of the photos that are used are not theirs, or they just want to make sure that this person isn't on their radar, if you want to block them or whatever, then I will privately share the name. but I will not be like plastering it everywhere because, like I say, I am not wanting to send them loads of hate. I think they probably feel pretty bad already, especially because they were a fan of me supposedly, but I don't think if I was a fan of someone I would have done this. But yeah, so this is the message because I wrote it in anger, so I'm just gonna put that out there. So here's the message. It's very long, just to warn you, so get your coffee, get your tea. This is the message. Hi, it's come to my attention that you have been using my products and photos as your own on your website. Not only that, you have made the pricing information provided for orders as your own and on the website, along with photos of my work. I can see that most were taken down last night. However, since delivering the cake this morning, they have gone back up. Not only is this very disrespectful, it's against copyright and plagiarism laws. You have used my products that were purchased on my site and are listing them on your website for more. What I'm suggesting here is that you're reselling my stuff, basically, but I can't suggest that because I don't necessarily know. It is extremely misleading to any customers that order from you, as they will not be receiving the item pictured. I would also like to advise you that reselling items without my consent would not be allowed due to allergen risks and copyright of my products. It is shocking that as a fan of my work, you would take advantage of what was a friendly relationship to get information/quotes for your website. This is my hard work, as well as hours, days and months that I have spent working on this business. I find it disappointing that you would steal this work as your own, opposed to putting in the work, like I have this past year, and earn the skill and customers yourself. I will be reporting you, as unfortunately it seems as though I'm being taken for a fool, as I have someone looking at your website who has advised that posts are being removed from the site once they have viewed it. So basically every time people would go on the website, 5 minutes later the post was removed. So it's like a constant, and every time I would check it, it was just a constant cat and mouse of the photos going back up when we were off the site and then off straight after. So the next bit, I'd like to confirm these photos, all my products and merchandise, because I was worried about my merchandise, are copyrighted, therefore they cannot be used by anyone other than me. It's also a shame to say that I'll be blocking you on all platforms, and any future orders placed will be cancelled, as you can't be trusted. If further work products or photos of mine appear on your site, I will have no further choice but to escalate this. We can see that the following were on your site, as well as Facebook and Instagram. You will need to remove these by the end of the day. If already moved, please ensure they do not come back on your site. And then I've listed everything that was on there. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different things that were all mine. And then I've put, please note we have screenshots to prove that these were or are still on your website for our records. That was a message. I hope you enjoyed that. So that was my message. I wrote that all myself. You'll be proud to hear. And that's where it's been left. So yeah, I do have plenty of receipts. Before anyone comes for me, I have plenty of receipts to prove that it was all my photos. I also have proof that I sent these products to this person, so I know that they are my products because I have their address. I know that that exact chocolate slab or that exact brownie slab that is in that photo was sent to them by me. I also have a photo of it before it left me, so you can literally compare the photos, and unless someone placed the chocolates in a chocolate slab exactly as I placed them, which, bearing in mind these chocolate slabs are fully loaded, it would be very difficult. It's just unlikely that it would look exactly the same. There would be slight differences, and there is zero. So that's where we're currently at. So yeah, I feel actually better now that I've got it off my chest, if I'm completely honest. I apologise because it's a very long video, but that's the tea for today. My sister said she thinks I'm turning into a tea channel, which I'm not, don't worry. But this was just something that I felt needed to be addressed, because I thought it was a blatant, just, I don't know what the word is, like abuse of trust, basically. I just couldn't believe that someone that was supposedly a fan of my YouTube would do something like this, which is why I felt the need to put something on my YouTube. I've put stuff on my Instagram already, but I felt the need to put something on my YouTube because clearly there is a misrepresentation or misinformation about whether this is okay, because someone that is a fan from YouTube has decided that this is okay. So that's why I felt the need to put it on here, because I'm confirming that one, it is not okay, like I say, to do it to me or anyone else, but also it's just so disrespectful. Like, if I was a fan of something, I would not do that. I would not do that. Let alone make them come to my house and look them in the eye, knowing full well that I'd done that. I could not. I would have to say sorry, I think. If someone turned up to my house and I knew that I'd been stealing all their stuff, I would have been like, sorry. And they'd probably be like, what? And I'm like, nothing. Because I would not be able to do that. I would not be able to lie to someone's face. I just don't understand it. But, yeah, you know, life goes on. But hopefully I will not have any contact with this person in the future. But that is everything. That is the lowdown. That is all the information you need to know. If you want updates, let me know. But I was just as shocked as everyone else is on my Instagram, so I assume that everyone on YouTube will also be just as shocked as I am, because I cannot believe it. But yeah, it's shocking. It is horrible as well. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So like I say, watermark your stuff, especially not necessarily bakers, because you might not need to, but especially any like artists, anyone that makes merchandise, anything like that, copyright and watermark it, because those are the sorts of things, as much as I spend hours making a cake, which I then take a photo of, it's different because I can prove that that's my cake, whereas merchandise is different. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, that is something that I've created, and a cake, someone can recreate a design similar, and there can be lots of a design which is out, and lots of bakers have recreated it and they all look very similar, and that's considered fine because they've recreated a design. So someone could palm it off as they've just recreated my design, not stolen my photo. But merchandise, that is something that when you make merch, that's yours. Like, that's your brand. Everyone knows you for your merchandise. Someone might go, oh my god, you know, she wears that hoodie with the cake on it. Like, I know that is Sweet Things by Amy. But as soon as someone takes that is your brand that they're taking. Like, that's why the merchandise is so different, which is why it worried me so much when I saw that on the person's website, because I was worried that they had been talking to me about my new merch, and then they were saying that they're bringing new merch out, and I thought, are they just going to buy it off me? And if I hadn't looked at their website, I would never have known. I would never have known. I don't follow this person on Instagram because, unfortunately, I can't follow everyone. I follow people that I find educational for me, or people that I talk to on a very regular basis, like bakers that are like friends, because I obviously want to keep up to date with what they're doing. But yeah, I don't happen to follow this person. Like, I can't follow everyone, I forget. So I hadn't happened to follow her, so I wouldn't have known that she was posting photos of my stuff. She was using all my stuff on her website. Yeah, it's baffling, absolutely just shocking, shocking stuff. But yeah, so that's the update. I'm not going to keep you too long because it's already been like an hour, so yeah. But like I say, if I don't laugh, I'll cry, because I just don't understand it. I could go on forever, so yeah, I'm going to cut it short. But like I say, the website I'll try and get it up as soon as I can. But I have a feeling that I'll probably be doing it all day tomorrow, so there probably won't be any postals this week, because I think I'm just going to change it to Monday, because then I can sort all this stuff out. So we won't probably do any postals this week, but yeah. So that's the update. I hope you enjoyed, or I hope you didn't enjoy. I mean, it's not very enjoyable, but I hope you learned something is the main thing. I hope that you look at this situation and you think, I don't want that to happen to me. Because, like I say, it's scary for it to happen anyway, but it's scarier when it's someone that talks to you and knows you. this person has met me, they know my address, like I know their address, like that's what's weird. It's not some random person from another country that's created an Instagram account and they've copied me. This is someone that knows me, which is the worst part about it. I just don't understand it. So that's why you need to be so careful, literally so careful. And also, like I say, when you're delivering cakes, just make sure that you know where you're delivering to, because like I say, I'm glad that I didn't go on my own, because you don't know who you're delivering to, especially when it's an hour and a half away. It could be literally anyone. Weddings is different, because obviously you meet the bride and groom slightly different. There's a venue, all of that stuff. But driving that far away on your own to deliver a cake, yeah, it's, especially when like I have an online presence on YouTube, it's just risky. So unfortunately I will be changing my delivery terms. That will change. I will not be delivering outside of my local area, because most of the people that order from me in my local area I know, so then I know it's safe. Everyone else will be collection from my house. That's it. Because I do not want to be driving anywhere far away from where I live, because that's scary to me. So yeah, you may notice that will change as well. But please take away something useful from this video and learn from my mistake of not watermarking everything on my website, and also just being naive and thinking that someone actually wanted to just chat to me for fun and not use me to get information for their website. Just be careful who you're talking to, basically, because they could just steal all your business ideas and claim them as their own. So yeah, that is that, guys. So like I say, I hope you learned something. I'm going to go and edit this video because I want to get it up as soon as possible, because I want you all to understand what's gone on. So yeah, I will see you in my next video. It will be a more positive one. There are some lives this weekend, so you get to enjoy those on a more positive note. But yeah, I will see you in my next video. And like I say, I hope you learnt something. Bye!